There we go. We are live. We are back.
Alright, well I'm gonna go out and get some lunch. Best of luck to everyone else that's in the race and look on commentary.
No worries, I'll crack on. Right then, Chatteroo, how are we all doing today? We're currently on board with a spicy battle down in P14 at this moment of time. Angel a bit under pressure from the Porsche 992 right behind. Yeah. Come on, Oosby, I thought you were better than this. I did hear, I think it was you that said it, Don. Oosby's been having a bit of difficulty down in P20 at this moment of time. But yeah, like I said, we've got a few battles brewing at the moment. If you want me to ride on board with anyone in particular, then feel free to let me know in the chat. Now we're just going to flick on through, see who we can find and support, and pretty much go from there. Yes, I can turn the game sound just down a little bit. I was thinking it was going to be just a little bit loud. Hopefully that's a little bit okay. Nah, that's all good, fair enough. Nah, that does make sense. I was thinking it was a little bit loud. But hopefully that should be a little better. But we've got a little spicy battle between P18 and P19 at this moment of time. So the Aston Martin get a little bit squiggly behind, and on goes through the Ford. Up in it to P18 now. It was a lovely little move into the bus stop chicane, but now down to turn 1. Conditions as well looking a little bit tricky at the moment. They are a little bit damp. It does seem to chill out in around about 15 minutes time. But let's see how the drivers go on and up through a Rouge. Is it flat out? It does sound flat out with a tiny bit of a lift. But we'll see now if pin number 18 can try and catch down P17. Which is around about 22 seconds up the road. And we'll make our way up to P12 now, because I've got a bit of a spicy battle going on. This is obviously for P11. I am seeing a lot of favouritism. I'm seeing a lot of Fords on track at the moment, so it's a little bit interesting that I've been hearing the Ford is apparently the most OP car in the game itself. Not sure if that's highly true, but we'll see what the straight line speed is like as they make their way to the Rouge. But yeah, myself, I have been actually racing in Split 2 for my own team, 7x7. And we're not done too bad. We had a bit of dry conditions, then to wet, then to dry, then to wet. And I think we're going back to dry, then wet again. So yeah, it's been a little bit hit and miss, really. Bit 2 in general isn't too bad. I mean, the start of the race was actually pretty decent. We actually had no problems on the first lap up and through a Rouge. So it was quite nice and clean, shall we say. Quite nice and clean, but yeah, there's been a bit of wet patches, a bit of dry patches. I nearly binned the car into a Rouge, but we don't talk about that. I managed to save it, so we're all good. Yeah, we've had a few near misses, but generally Split 2 has been pretty decent. So we're looking pretty good there. But we're on board with Kyle right now, obviously trying to chase down the McLaren ahead of him for P11. Has substantially managed to close the gap down in Sector 3. But coming out of turn 16 now, up to P17, then 18, then towards the little, I like to call it the bus stop chicane, and he's really starting to get on the gearbox of that McLaren. Could we see a cheeky side-by-side, maybe a move up the inside into P19? We're about to see who's going to be the latest on the brakes, and opting not to go for the move there whatsoever, which is probably the smartest thing to do in these conditions right now. Of course, quite dark on track, headlights are on, so conditions as well, trying to spot the brake boards, the puddles and all that stuff is going to be a little bit tricky. But we'll see how powerful that slip is as we make our way through a rouge. Oh Terry, that is not ideal. I know 4G is not the best signal, shall we say, but hey, I guess it is what it is. But yeah, that Ford is trying to pick a line, stay on that line and try and get past the McLaren, because I believe the McLaren is now slowing the Ford down, which is going to be holding up just quite a bit. I'm sensing a move maybe now into turn number 10 towards 11, but he backs out of it and stays behind once again. It's going to lose him a lot more time, because the Ford being behind the McLaren for nearly around about 2 to 3 laps now has lost around about two seconds, you could say, to the car for P10 ahead. So they've got a lot of work to do. On board with other drivers, we could make our way down to the bottom of the grid now towards P24 and P25. On board a row, car number 12 in that lovely Ferrari. Not seeing much of the lime green combination, but that is actually looking quite tidy, quite nice and clean, you could say. But 2 Ferraris going at it. One being hunted down, you could say, and the other one trying to chase down for P23. I've been hearing as well the Ferrari's top speed is quite decent in a straight line, so 2 Ferraris trying to go at it. In my eyes, it's going to be the confidence of power, throttle control, and just what kind of setups they are running. Hello, Shanae. Yeah, you gotta love the ads. You gotta love the ads on Twitch. You gotta love it. I know, Shanae, I know. We're doing Split 1 coverage. I know there was going to be a stream for Split 2, but I think there were some issues, so I don't think that's being streamed anymore, but I could be wrong. On board then with P27, and under pressure is Keppers, and Keppers could lose out to the exit from the Aston Martin, but Keppers still staying ahead in P26. We'll see as they come out of a rouge who will be on top and who's more confident on the power. The Aston Martin going a little bit wide there and going offline, and Keppers is able to have a bit more confidence, you could say, and build that gap up just a little bit more to around about 3.3 of a second. Oh, is YouTube not having it, is it? That's not surprising us. Oh my goodness, the Aston Martin actually going straight on at turn number 7 and 8. So that's lost him quite a bit of time now. And the gap is going to now be around about, you could say 3 to 4 seconds. So a little bit big now, but in tricky conditions like this, there's not much you can do. You've got to go with it and try and get back on the pace and on the back of the cars once again. But now we can turn our attention, because as I said earlier on at the beginning of the stream, one driver in general that has been struggling quite a bit. We struggled a little bit in qualifying, getting up the grid order, and Usby has a little bit of pressure from behind, and it is Carlos, as I say, in that lovely Ford livery there. Pretty standard and pretty basic, but I love it as he almost actually goes sideways, exiting out of the Rouge, but trying to put pedal to the metal, trying to get as close to Usby as they possibly can. They are gaining quite a bit in this straight. They're going to look to the right hand side, down towards turn 7, later on the brakes. It gets that move done for P20, but Usby now trying to come back at it, not trying to lose out to this fight, but that could be done and dusted, and that might be Usby unfortunately knocked down to P21 now, and Carlos has got around about a 22-second gap to try and catch the car ahead for P19, which might seem impossible, but still with around about 8 hours and 14 minutes to go, anything could happen. There could be a crash, there could be a disconnect, there could be, you know, equipment issues. Anything like that can still happen with 8 hours remaining. So we have luck that Carlos can get up the grid order just a little bit more, and have luck for Usby as well to gain some more positions as this race goes on into the nights and potentially the early hours of in-game time. Oh lord, 16 subs given, and I still have no ACM rating. This is truly rigged. Imagine. And thank you, Darkness, as well, for the gifted sub to Neon, or Neo, sorry, underscore gamer 210. So again, Darkness, thank you very, very much. You are now the, you could say, the leader. Most gifted in the chat. How do you feel about that? I bet you feel absolutely amazing right now, don't you? Feel absolutely great, as we have got someone in the pits, and it is going to be the Ford P19 making their pit stop, which means Usby should gain a position on this, and he will, up to P number 20, I believe. So he'll be a little bit happy with that one, but the reason why the Ford is actually doing pit stop is because it's not a pit stop, it's a drive-through. So that will probably be for exceeding track limits about 4 times, I believe it is. So that's going to lose them a bit of a chunk of time, but there's not much you can do. So the Ford slowly trembling through the pit lane can get back up to racing speed, switch off the pit limiter, and make their way out on track in P22. But we look up the grid once again, on board with the McLaren chasing down the Ford ahead, which seems to be in a little bit of, I want to say, lapping traffic. I want to say it's a lap car ahead, but I could be wrong. But the rain should hopefully be easing off. Hopefully in 5 minutes, but you never know with this game. It could stop raining and then start again, or it may just not stop. It may just change randomly. You know, nobody knows. It's all a bit hit and miss, shall we say. But Mark as well, hello buddy, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. As we're on board with a very spicy battle here. Only for one racing position, the Ford pulling in to the inside line, trying to go side by side. No contact was made. I thought there was going to be contact between those two drivers, but a nice clean move for... was actually, no. Never mind. That was a lap car moving out of the way. The position they're trying to fight for is the BMW. The gap is around about 0.5 of a second, so hopefully the Porsche can do a stellar move like they did just a minute ago, because that would be pretty impressive. But that BMW is starting to pick up the pace just a little bit, and that McLaren behind is starting to pounce back a little bit. But yeah, that BMW has actually, it's disappeared. We have got a yellow flag in the background, and that is going to be a spin for 129. Having a spin at the first corner, turn number 1. Not the ideal place to spin because it's a blind bend as you dip completely to the right hand side. But they've got going again in P20. Isn't ideal for them. But that does promote Usby up into P19. Which is a good thing. And then there's more drivers now coming into the pits, and that is going to be car number 22 into the pits, and Angel up ahead is closing in on P12 as well. We're on board at P14. They're just chilling. I don't know how drivers can actually drive the Porsche. I've tried it before, and it's absolutely impossible. Absolutely impossible. Don't know how they drive it, but hey ho. I guess try your best, don't you, to try and drive these cars, but some of them can drive them with no TC, which is quite impressive. We see Angel now getting up into P12 ahead of the McLaren, which drops down to P13. And the next car ahead of Angel is going to be around about 4.2 of a second. No, it's not the car ahead, because that is way too close. That does mean they are a lapped car, which means they need to move to the left-hand side or the right-hand side. Just give way, let the faster car through, and Angel can put pedal to the metal and try and close down on P11. Usby cooked? I mean, it has been a very tricky race for Usby, who's down in P19. The gap to the next driver ahead of them is around about 26 seconds, but that is all changing now as number 18 now, which is car 22, Lando, is pulling into the pit lane, shall we say, and that will promote Usby hopefully up to P18. Go on board with car 22, actually making their way on pit exit. So my calculations are a little bit off, and I'm actually going to be a little bit wrong, because 666, which is Usby, is only making their way to Rouge now. So for this moment of time, their position is going to be staying P19. But to be honest, we know Usby is the GOAT. We know he's a very decent driver, as he gives way, I believe, to the blue flag car which flies by now. But what you got to remember, split one, best drivers there can possibly be in ACM racing. It's going to be challenging, especially with the conditions you see there. Just the front end not wanting to respond whatsoever. Curbs as well. Going to be a bit dangerous, going to be a little bit wet, you could say, so you never know these days, you never know. But the track is now damp, which means the rain has finally stopped falling on the circuit. So we could see drivers on the dry compound of tyre. I could be wrong. There could still be drivers on the actual dry compound, but if they are, impressive. If they're not, I can understand why, because those conditions looked very, very tough. Yeah. That isn't too bad if I say so myself. Oh, on board there with 88, and that is a position that they're hopefully going to try and make up now, because that Ford went a little bit too deep and maybe cooked its braking zone just a bit too much into turn 14, 15 area, and now that's really put the BMW to maybe think, you know what, I can get a cheeky little position out of this, and promoted up into P20. So we'll keep on board with the BMW for now and see exactly what does happen. If so, anything spicy could happen, that would be great and fantastic. But both running a little bit wide there, but managing to keep it within track limits, which we like to see. We've now got the BMW, I would say under pressure, because I'm going to be honest, that's the lap car, which is going to sail on through. And that's them done and dusted, because P20 and P20 on the side, they both want to box, and the BMW almost going into the back end of the Ford, but we'll see when they come back on track who will be out ahead, because they could be switching to the dry tyres, they could be just doing fuel. It just depends at the end of the day. It just depends. On board a P26 now. In a race of their own. Behind them are going to be lap cars, so yeah, they're chilling in P26, which ain't too bad. As Butcher in the background was fighting for position actually on P26, but a lap car getting through, which means that could do some luck for Butcher to try and close off P26, because, you know, that could open the door. That 777 could be slowed down by the lap car getting through. But yeah, like I say, gaps starting to open up quite a bit now. Butcher obliging to the blue flagged rule, moving out of the way, has actually lost him quite a bit of time. When I say quite a bit, I mean quite a bit. They're now around about 3.7 behind. Oosby's still staying in that pit lane right now. I wonder where they'll make their way on track position, as he's now moving, he's now going, so that does mean he might even be ahead. Oh, actually no, someone has disconnected, so never mind. I'm not too sure what's going to happen to that driver, but they have disappeared completely. So Oosby making their way on pit exit will emerge on track saying P21, but on my race control it's saying P23, so we'll see when the updates in a few moments and what that's going to be. Right, back on board with Angel once again in the Aston Martin, closing down the gap to car ahead, 240. Putting it past the blue flag, which they succeed in doing. And they've got a nice little spicy battle now with the Ford. And Angel looking very confident in the Aston Martin. Very, very confident. On power at the right time, but they are coming into the pit lane, so we ain't going to see any sort of lovely manoeuvre there. Like I say, chat, if there's anybody you would like me to ride on board with from Split 1, just put a little message in the chat and I'll be happy to, you know, ride on board and see how they're getting on. See if they're struggling a little bit. Of where, you know, where you think they could be improving on track, etc. Feel free to let me know, as we now have the Porsche going side by side and up into P14, pretty much ahead of the McLaren. Brave move there. Like I say, in the Porsche, one car in particular that I cannot drive, but if you could drive the Porsche, then big credit to you guys. I could never ever be able to drive that car. Very tricky indeed, and we did have a yellow flag just a minute ago, and that was flagging up that Joe had some sort of issue, but it could have actually been in the pits. And as it's in the pits, we've got a very spicy battle brewing on here, because a blue flag moves out of the way, and we've got two cars now. A McLaren versus Ferrari now, going at it, dueling it on track, out on pit exit, fighting for position P7. Which one is going to make their way on top? I'm guaranteeing that McLaren is going to struggle to get through the Ferrari ahead. So when we went on board with that Ferrari in particular, car number 80, looking very strong, very confident, very calm, and very, very quick. So that's my prediction there. That McLaren is going to see its competitor fade away in the distance. Andrew now on board with him, fighting for P13, late move, very late on the brakes, and gets that position and up into P13 in the Porsche once again. Very, very brave, knows where to brake. Track conditions are improving, so drivers will try and push the limits a little bit more, but try and do it safely as well so they don't bin the car completely. But yeah, the Ford struggling just a little bit on traction and everything. We'll see if they can find some more little pace as time goes on. I think it's Adrian we're on board with now. Number 8. Obviously, we were speaking about these two just a few seconds ago. And surprisingly, that Ferrari doesn't seem to be pulling away substantially, shall we say. But we can go on board with a familiar face from the ACM racing community. In just a moment, we'll see if the Ferrari makes a major or minor mistake, and we'll see if that McLaren can slip on through into P7. It's under quite a bit of pressure right now. Both drivers probably on the dry tyre, which is probably your best bet to be on that tyre now as the track is starting to improve a little bit, so you don't have to box again. Be my initial thought. But you never know. Doesn't seem to be any sort of crazy position change at the moment, so we're going to go on board with a very familiar face, and it is going to be Kelly down in P22, taking over from Ousby and trying to get a position up into P21. Ahead of them is the BMW, and then the BMW's got around about a 26.3 gap to the next car, which would be P19. Oh, sorry, no, P20. Already getting confused, chat. It's off to a great commentating session, shall we say. Going fantastic. Going wonderful. Fernandez now. On all of them. That's the one that the Ford needs to try and chase down, but isn't going very well at this moment of time. Lots of drivers though on circuit starting to get in the battle formations and introducing their battle tactics, where to go for moves, where to push, where to chills, like I say, and keep on saying track conditions keep on changing and keep on improving. For example, the McLaren getting very close to the gearbox into turn 1, going for a late lunge, the Ferrari taking a void of action, and you could say swinging out of the way there. They both almost run side by side, but the McLaren gets ahead by almost a country mile. Up and through a rouge we go now. What's it going to be like? Little bit of a lift for both of them drivers, but now the McLaren up into P7 can try and run away and close down a 15.4 to 3 second gap, as that might help them just a little bit, because no, never mind. I'm getting confused now. My race control is confusing me. I was going to say P6, but P6 is in a league of their own. Literally in the league of their own. No one around them. Just themselves and vibing on track. We have got battles everywhere on circuit right now. Quite difficult on which driver to ride on board with, as we have Butcher putting pressure. Both Ferraris once again going at it, almost bump drafting that Ferrari. We'll see if Jan can get a move up into P23. Will that be possible? Both Ferraris, one's got a slip, both got a top speed, but like I said, one's got a slip, so it's going to perform just a little bit better. They're gaining and gaining and gaining, heading down to turn number 7. Late on the brake, side by side, bit of contact, and both cars going off circuits. And could say the Ferrari, which is Jan, backing off there a little bit, realising that they were in the wrong. Good sportsmanship there. Still, you know, trying to make the move. Thinking about keeping the position and realised they were in the wrong, so backed off. Because obviously the other one started backing off, because I've got to be careful, because the green stuff, as they say, or the, you know, that piece of that track, that tarmac, is very, very slippery. And of course, drivers not driving over it is going to cause standing water and just pretty much not going to be fun whatsoever. But we do have a bit of a move, I will say, shaping up, but there you go. It would have been done and dusted. Some drivers are not looking very confident, and what's going to be not so confident and quite unfortunate for these drivers is in around about 15 minutes time there's going to be more wet weather, which isn't fun, but I guess it is what it is. So from a track going damp to almost probably being dry very, very soon, we've got side-by-side action up ahead, and I believe that was just a lap car of Kelly moving out of the way. I was just going to say, that's Fernandez ahead, I think. Yes, no, it isn't actually, never mind. I'm not sure who that is. It's one of the Fords. We have to do it on here. I'm not too sure who that is then. One of the drivers quite far up the grid order. We'll see what the number is in a minute's time. 585, that's the one. They're currently chilling. Oh, they're chilling P14, and they've just gone past Kelly. So Kelly once again unfortunately being lapped there. Not ideal, but it is what it is. On board with Zohan in that very colourful, bright Aston Martin. Ahead of them is going to be the Ferrari. Both, one's trying to defend, one's trying to attack for position. And if the Aston Martin decides to attack, they're fighting for P27. Now, this is going to be the interesting part of the race, because this is where the drivers are going to start, you know, trying to build up that confidence, temperature, all sort of, you know, those bits and bobs, and try and get a move on and try and get a move done and up into another position. And I'll tell you what's happening up ahead in P13. They're having a wonderful fight right now with P11? No, not P12. There you go, it's updated now. I got a little bit confused what was going on there, but we're all good. We're all good. We are unconfused now. We Angel up into P12 now, but the Porsche behind at 992 looking a bit more pacey than the Aston Martin, so we'll see if the Porsche decides to come back into the braking zone at the chicane, which is known as the final corner, before the massive start straight, and then before we hit a rouge. But yeah, both drivers look very confident on the brakes. No need to go for any crazy dive bombs. But now sliding their way into corners is car number 221 in the Ford in P9, trying to hunt down car 80 And then car 80 trying to hunt down 33, which is literally right ahead of them. So this is like a three-way position for P7 at the moment. So things getting pretty much spicy in split 1. I'm having a lot of fun right now watching, you know, it's weird seeing split 2's conditions to split 1, because split 2 isn't too bad, but split 1 doesn't look great. Having dry conditions, damp conditions, going back to wet conditions once again, just getting off of those wet tyres if you so did, but very challenging in split 1. But almost fine? Okay, fair enough. It just looks a bit more challenging. You know what I mean? Until night time, of course, then pressures, tyres start to get cold, everything starts to drop, and that's when it starts to get tricky. So, yeah, you're not wrong there, you're not wrong there, Harry. Night hit and rain roller coaster happened. You know what? Fair enough. I mean, nighttime and rain isn't a good combination. It can be quite tricky, quite stressful, and quite painful. We did have somebody in the chat say, "Go team, ACC Italia." Not too shabby, not too bad. If you would like me to ride on board with that certain team, feel free to let me know what, you know, what position they are, and we can ride on board with them, because why not? And surprisingly, the Porsche getting ahead of Angel once again, but Angel's in the fight. Angel is there, if you know what I mean. They are not far away from just sending it into a corner, being brave on the brakes of the Porsche, trying to cool down their tyres or going defensive, down to turn 1. I know, right? McLaren back in the Ferrari. SMH. It's all going on. There's literally carnage happening, lap by lap. But I guess we'll see what happens. Oh, here we go. The Ford making a tremendous move where you don't normally see it in wet, greasy conditions, whatever you want to call it. But that was a lovely move there, up into P7. That was fantastic. A move done near Pouon. That was incredible. That was, yeah, that was definitely something to watch. I'm glad we could see that live here on ACM Racing. But you're saying it's 340 and 66, I think. We could have a look and see. Yep, that's one team. They're currently chilling in P10. That's pretty good for them. 16.6 off of P9. Probably trying to get past a lapped car in the process, but we'll see. And then we got 6.6 somewhere. Probably ahead, and they are. They've got a little lonely race at the moment. They're down in P6 at the moment, so not too bad. Like I say, in a lonely race of their own, in a little bit of a league of their own, could we say. So we have 992. They're putting on a good show so far, fighting for P12. Because everyone says about, you know, position on track, but it's really about where you finish. So if you're having a fight with P24, P25, or wherever on the circuit, it doesn't really matter. Because you're only going to know what your true position is until it's completely done and dusted. But putting on a good show is also another good thing. And Angel and Andrea really putting on a show. But that gap is now starting to open up, so maybe Angel finding a bit more confidence in the car itself as the track starts to improve. But they've got rain in about 5 minutes time, which isn't ideal, but that's going to be a little bit tough. Very, very tough. We've got a bit of chaos and a bit of carnage as well going on. Roman moving out of the way for some blue flag cars, or maybe not, trying to go for a cheeky position up into P22. Kelly trying to defend that one, take it nice and easy into turn one, but yeah, car 12 going way too wide there, getting on the sausage curb and completely bottoming out absolutely out of nowhere. And yeah, staying in P23, and Kelly up into P22, trying to put on a show and try and run away, shall we say. And the Ford as well, now starting to put a bit more pressure. Kelly under pressure now. That's being, you know, currently lapped. There's cars literally everywhere at this moment in time as we head down to turn number 7. Someone getting involved in the party as well, and I'm going to presume that's a lapped car trying to make their way through the traffic, because they're probably also fighting for pole position. And yeah, it's absolute chaos right now. That Ford was not able to make a move as well up into P23, so car 12 still safe in their current position after trying to attack Kelly, but going very wide out of turn 1. It's up to you, Sinead. If you'd like to, then feel free. Because I don't think I'll be back in 10 minutes time. So you might have to take over, Sinead, if you're okay with that. What else we got happening on track right now? P29. It's going to be car number 777 trying to put pressure on Fitz for P28. And they're going to try and get that move done on the run down to turn 7. It depends, really. Let me have a look. Let me find a battle whilst I do some tinkering in the background. Is there any spicy battles? There's someone in the pits. That's all we've really got at the moment. Got more to Kelly. They're currently chasing down P22. Or actually, no, not chasing down P22. We've got yellow flags as P18. Probably having a moment or giving way to a blue flag car. That's going to be one of the two. But yeah, Kelly trying to chase down P22, but yeah, not going smooth. Bit of tricky conditions. But yeah, not looking too shabby. Kelly trying to put pedal to the metal as are they under pressure from the car behind? No, they're not. The car behind them is around about 3.5 of a second, so they're okay at the moment. They could probably give way to this blue flag car and still be a-okay. Right. More drivers maybe coming into the pit lane. Yes, they are. We've got P17, which is car 99 in the pits as well. We can see right there on board of them. That's Adrian. And that livery looking very, very nice there. Very, very nice there. Harry, are you here? Hopefully you are, lurking around. Are you able to take over? Is that okay? I need to disappear like ASAP. They're telling me that I've got 1 lap. Oh, that was the wrong button. Apologies for that, folks. As we're on board with number 999. Right now, they're in the box. And we'll have Harry taken over in a few minutes' time. There he is. Hello, Harry.
Good afternoon.
How are we doing, my friend?
Pretty good. I've finally got some lunch, so I'm no longer starving.
That's good to hear. That's a good thing, I'd say.
yeah. Been watching the race while I was eating lunch, and yeah, still some good battles going, which is good.
Oh, there's some pretty good battles going on. Are you good to? Are you all ready to go, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just let me know when you're off, and I'll
Cool. So I will